Your smartphone updates automatically. Your apps refresh constantly. But when did you last upgrade your brain? Right now, most high performers are running their minds like outdated computers. They wonder why they crash at 3 in the afternoon. They cannot understand why focus feels impossible. Their mental energy drains faster than a phone battery. They have tried productivity hacks. They have downloaded focus apps. They have reorganized their calendars. And yet they still feel mentally sluggish at precisely the moments they need to be razor sharp. Here is the uncomfortable truth. The problem is not your schedule. It is not your workload. The real issue is that you have been treating your brain like a machine when it is actually a biological system with specific fuel requirements, recovery cycles, and operating conditions. Ignore those conditions, and even the sharpest person in the room will struggle to think clearly. What you are about to hear is not another collection of generic productivity advice. This session, The High Performance Mind, is built on neuroscience research and real-world methods tested by professionals who simply cannot afford mental fog. Surgeons who need steady hands and crystalline thinking through 12-hour operations. Traders making split-second decisions with millions at stake. CEOs navigating cascading complexity while managing dozens of competing priorities. These are people for whom mental performance is not a self-improvement hobby. It is a professional necessity. In the pages of this session, you will discover why small, deliberate changes to how you fuel, rest, and train your brain create massive improvements in cognitive output, not through grinding harder or relying on willpower, but by working with your brain's natural design instead of fighting against it. You will learn how to sustain laser focus through demanding days, how to enter deep work states on demand, how to recover strategically so your best thinking is available exactly when you need it, and how to build a practical 30-day plan that delivers results within the first week. Stay with this session from beginning to end. What you are about to hear will change not just how you work, but how you think about thinking itself. Important disclaimer: the information in this session is intended for educational and informational purposes only. The publisher and author do not accept responsibility for outcomes arising from the application of this material. Readers and listeners are solely responsible for any actions they take based on the content presented here. This is Brainpower Audiobooks. Let us begin. Chapter 1: What Your Brain Actually Needs. Your brain burns through approximately 400 calories every single day just to keep you thinking. That is more energy per pound than your heart, your liver, or any other organ in your body. Yet most people fuel this extraordinary metabolic powerhouse with whatever food happens to be convenient, and then feel genuinely surprised when their mental clarity disappears by mid-afternoon. Think about the last time you drove a high-performance sports car, or even imagined doing so. You would not pour the cheapest available fuel into that engine. You would use premium because you understand that performance is directly linked to inputs. Your brain deserves exactly that same strategic approach. And yet, for most people, brain nutrition is an afterthought. A coffee here, a quick sandwich there, a handful of crackers between meetings. The brain, meanwhile, is working constantly, processing information, regulating emotion, making decisions, and attempting to maintain clarity in a world that demands more from it every single year. When you fuel your brain correctly, you get sustained mental clarity that carries you through the most demanding days of your professional life. When you do not, you get brain fog, poor decision-making, and that familiar, deeply frustrating 2 or 3 o'clock energy collapse that derails everything you plan to accomplish. The difference between sharp focus and that creeping mental fatigue almost always comes down to 3 foundational elements: what you eat, how much water you drink, and how consistently you sleep. These are not complicated strategies requiring dramatic life overhauls. They are basic habits that, when applied with intention, create dramatic cognitive improvements. Start with nutrition. Your brain needs specific nutrients to operate at peak capacity, and the most important fuel it runs on is glucose derived from carbohydrates. However, not all carbohydrates deliver the same performance benefits. Simple sugars give you a quick spike followed by an equally quick crash, leaving you mentally sluggish at the worst possible times. Complex carbohydrates, by contrast, release energy slowly and keep blood sugar levels stable for hours. Oats, whole grains, and sweet potatoes are your allies here. When blood sugar remains stable, thinking stays clear and focused without interruption. Research shows the most effective nutritional timing strategy is consuming a balanced meal 60 to 90 minutes before important tasks. This window gives your body time to digest and convert food into actual brain fuel. If you have a critical presentation at 10 in the morning, eating a substantial breakfast by 8:30 optimizes your cognitive performance for that moment. High-performing executives and entrepreneurs are increasingly using this kind of precise meal timing to maintain peak mental performance throughout demanding workdays. Your brain also requires healthy fats, particularly omega-3 fatty acids, which help brain cells communicate effectively with each other. Salmon, walnuts, and chia seeds provide these essential fats in abundance. Even adding a single handful of walnuts to your morning routine can produce measurable improvements in afternoon focus and mental stamina. Protein plays an equally crucial role because your brain uses amino acids from protein to manufacture neurotransmitters, the chemicals that enable clear thinking and sustained motivation. Eggs, lean meat, and beans provide the building blocks your brain needs to function at its best. B vitamins are critical for brain function because they help convert food into energy your brain can actually use. You will find them in leafy greens, eggs, and whole grains. Iron carries oxygen to your brain and is abundant in spinach and lean meat. Magnesium supports memory and learning and is found in nuts and seeds. The key is combining these foods rather than eating them in isolation. A meal that integrates complex carbohydrates, healthy protein, and beneficial fats provides your brain with a complete spectrum of what it needs for sustained performance. For maintaining steady energy throughout the day, eating smaller meals more frequently proves significantly more effective than 3 large ones. This approach keeps blood sugar stable and prevents the energy crashes that destroy afternoon productivity. Think of it as keeping your brain's fuel tank consistently topped off rather than letting it run dangerously low before you refuel. Among the highest value individual foods for cognitive function are blueberries, which pack powerful antioxidants that protect brain cells from damage. Salmon, which delivers the omega-3 fats crucial for memory formation. Walnuts, providing healthy fats and protein for sustained energy. Eggs, containing choline that supports memory and learning. Spinach, loaded with iron and B vitamins for mental clarity. avocados, offering healthy fats that improve blood flow to the brain. Dark chocolate, which contains both caffeine and antioxidants that enhance focus. And Greek yogurt, providing protein and probiotics that support overall brain health. When these foods become regular fixtures in your daily eating pattern, they create a foundation for consistent cognitive performance that does not collapse mid-afternoon. The practical takeaway is not that you need to follow a rigid meal plan. It is that small, deliberate food choices made consistently across the day add up to a brain that is genuinely better equipped to do the work you ask of it. Now consider water, quite possibly the most underestimated performance tool for cognitive function that exists. Even mild dehydration can significantly impair your ability to focus, retain information, and make sound decisions. What makes this particularly dangerous is that mental clarity begins deteriorating before you even feel thirsty. Losing just 2% of your body water can dramatically impact cognitive performance, and that is less fluid than most people lose during a typical morning of focused work, before they have even reached for a glass of water. Your brain does not just need water alone. It requires the right balance of water and electrolytes. Electrolytes are minerals including sodium, potassium, and magnesium that help brain cells function properly. Pure water by itself can actually dilute these essential minerals, reducing their effectiveness over time. High-performing professionals are increasingly drinking 12 to 16 ounces of water with a small pinch of sea salt or a few drops of electrolyte solution before mentally demanding work sessions. This strategy ensures the brain has both proper hydration and the essential minerals it needs for peak performance. Rather than waiting until thirst signals dehydration, sip water consistently throughout the day. Keep a water bottle at your desk and take several sips every 30 minutes as a proactive habit. For every cup of coffee you consume, add an extra glass of water to maintain the proper hydration balance, because coffee and tea both contribute to fluid intake while also carrying diuretic effects. The third pillar of brain fueling is sleep, and here is where most people misunderstand almost everything. Sleep is not merely rest. It is when your brain performs its most critical maintenance work. During sleep, your brain clears out metabolic toxins that accumulate from a day of thinking. It consolidates the memories and skills you absorbed. It prepares neural pathways for the challenges ahead. Most people focus exclusively on sleep duration, but quality matters significantly more than quantity, and this distinction changes everything. Your brain follows natural 90-minute cycles throughout the night. Each cycle includes light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep phases. Deep sleep restores energy and eliminates mental fatigue. REM sleep processes emotions and strengthens the consolidation of memory. The critical insight is that waking up at the end of a complete cycle feels dramatically different from waking in the middle of one. This is precisely why you sometimes feel genuinely refreshed after 6 hours of sleep, but exhausted after 8. You can use this knowledge to engineer better sleep timing. If you need to wake at 7 in the morning, count backward in 90-minute intervals. Going to bed at 10:30 provides 5 complete cycles and makes waking up significantly easier. Going to bed at 11 places your alarm in the middle of a cycle, generating the grogginess and cognitive impairment that follows you into the morning. Current sleep optimization specialists and high-performing clients are using advanced tools like the Aura Ring to deliver precise measurements of sleep stages, heart rate variability, and recovery metrics. The device provides an individualized readiness score that helps users calibrate their daily routines for optimal cognitive output. The Somni Smart Sleep Headband represents another notable development, using EEG sensors to map individual brainwave patterns and applying gentle, personalized neurostimulation before bed. Clinical data suggests this approach is significantly more effective than melatonin, prescription sleep aids, or cognitive behavioral therapy for improving both sleep onset and duration. These tools are not essential, but they illustrate how seriously elite performers treat sleep as a performance lever rather than a passive recovery default. For most people, however, the most impactful changes involve your bedroom environment and pre-sleep behavior. Your brain needs time to wind down before sleep begins. The hour before bed should remain calm and screen-free. Blue light from phones and computers signals your brain to stay alert even when you're tired. Create a simple routine that your brain learns to associate with sleep onset. Dimming your lights, reading a physical book, or doing light stretches. The routine itself becomes a powerful cue that helps you fall asleep faster and reach the deeper sleep phases that restore cognitive function. Keep your bedroom cool between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Block out all light with blackout curtains or an eye mask. Use earplugs or white noise to minimize disruptions. Stop eating 3 hours before bed to improve sleep quality. Avoid caffeine after 2 in the afternoon. Keep your phone out of the bedroom entirely. Morning routines are equally important for sleep quality the following night. Natural light exposure within 30 minutes of waking helps set your internal circadian clock and improves your sleep the next evening. Even 5 minutes standing outside can make a measurable difference in how quickly you fall asleep and how deeply you rest. The circadian rhythm is not just a biological curiosity. It is the master scheduler of your entire cognitive system, governing when your brain is primed to learn, when it is primed to perform, and when it desperately needs to rest. Working in harmony with this rhythm, rather than overriding it with artificial stimulation or irregular schedules, is one of the highest leverage changes you can make to your mental performance. These 3 pillars, nutrition, hydration, and sleep, form the complete foundation of cognitive excellence. The recommendation is not to overhaul all 3 simultaneously. Start with the area that currently costs you the most. Small, consistent changes compound over time, creating significant cognitive advantages that accumulate day by day and week by week. Chapter 2: The Science of Strategic Recovery. 6 months from now, you will wonder how you ever worked without strategic breaks. That is not a motivational phrase. It is a prediction based on what happens when people first apply the science of recovery to their daily work. Rest is not the opposite of productivity. It is, in fact, the mechanism that makes productivity possible. Most people believe that pushing through fatigue demonstrates discipline. They work longer hours. They treat exhaustion like a badge of professional honor. But here is what continuous work actually does. It does not just slow you down, it makes you measurably worse at everything. Accuracy drops. Creativity dries up. Decision quality deteriorates in ways that are genuinely invisible to the person experiencing them. You cannot assess your own cognitive decline when the instrument doing the measuring is itself impaired. This is the insidious nature of mental fatigue. It does not announce itself with a warning light the way a car does when it is running low on fuel. It quietly corrupts your output while your subjective sense of effort and commitment remains intact. Your brain is not a machine that runs at uniform speed throughout the day. It is closer to a high-performance sports car in a race. Even the fastest car needs pit stops. The drivers who win races are not the ones who never stop. They are the ones who know precisely when to stop and how to refuel efficiently. Understanding your brain's natural rhythms and using recovery as a performance tool is one of the most significant competitive advantages available to any knowledge worker. Your brain never truly stops working. Even when you are not consciously thinking about a task, something critical is happening in the background. Scientists call this the default mode network, and it is essentially your brain's background operating system. When you are not focused on the external world, this network activates. It processes information, creates connections between disparate ideas, and works on problems your conscious attention could not solve directly. It is like having a brilliant assistant who works hardest when you are not watching. During strategic downtime, your brain accomplishes three things simultaneously. It consolidates new information, properly filing away the facts, skills, and insights you absorbed during focused work. It makes new connections, which is precisely where creative breakthroughs emerge. And it repairs itself from the neurological stress accumulated through sustained concentration. Research confirms that people who take regular, intentional breaks outperform those who push straight through. Strategic breaks improve decision-making, increase creativity, and reduce error rates. High-performing knowledge workers are increasingly using structured, science-informed break protocols, including rhythm-based scheduling and deliberate micro-breaks, to sustain peak cognitive performance across demanding workdays. Organizations that have adopted these approaches report productivity improvements of up to 41%. That number is not trivial. It represents the difference between a good day and an exceptional one, multiplied across every working week of the year. Consider what happened with Emma, a marketing executive who used to work straight through her days. She believed breaks were wasted time. Her performance reviews were average, and she frequently found herself stuck on problems without a clear path forward. Then she started taking a 15-minute walk every 90 minutes. Within a month, the quality of her creative ideas improved dramatically. Her manager noticed the change before she fully did. The breakthrough campaign ideas that had previously eluded her came during or immediately after her walks, not during the marathon focus sessions she had been forcing herself through. Emma had not become more talented. She had simply started working with her brain's design rather than against it. Her story is not exceptional. It is representative of what happens when any intelligent professional gives the brain the recovery it needs rather than treating rest as a reward for completed work. The key insight is straightforward. Your brain needs downtime to perform at its best. When you skip breaks, you are not saving time. You are investing time in lower quality work that will require revision, cost you errors, or simply fail to reach the standard you are capable of. Top performers understand this and treat recovery with the same seriousness they bring to important meetings. Not all breaks require significant time. Sometimes 2 minutes is enough to meaningfully reset your focus and mental energy. The skill is knowing which recovery technique matches the situation. Professional traders, surgeons, and executives are using exactly these methods to maintain cognitive sharpness during their most demanding hours. One of the most reliable micro-recovery tools is the 5-4-3-2-1 reset. It takes less than 2 minutes and requires nothing but your attention. Look around and name 5 things you can see, genuinely observing colors, shapes, and details rather than just scanning. Identify 4 things you can physically touch, noticing their textures. Listen for 3 sounds in your environment, whether obvious like street noise or subtle like the hum of air conditioning. Notice 2 things you can smell. Finally, identify 1 thing you can taste. This simple sequence pulls you out of mental loops and resets your attention system. It is the cognitive equivalent of hitting the refresh button on a frozen computer. Within 2 minutes, you will feel measurably calmer and more able to focus. Movement-based recovery is another powerful approach. Your body and brain are more deeply connected than most people appreciate. When your body moves, your brain receives fresh blood and oxygen, and even small movements produce meaningful changes in mental state. During phone calls, try rolling your shoulders, stretching your neck, or flexing your feet while you stand and pace. This does not distract from conversation but actually improves the clarity of your thinking during it. For deeper resets, consider what executives and traders increasingly rely on: breathing exercises combined with light movement. 5 deep breaths while doing gentle arm circles or slow wall push-ups while consciously extending the exhale creates a rapid mental recovery that professionals in high-stress roles have integrated into daily workflows. The break duration you have available determines the best recovery technique to use. With 2 minutes, use the 5-4-3-2-1 sensory reset, simple deep breathing, or desk stretches. With 5 minutes, take a short walk, combine light movement with breathing, or spend the time looking out a window at something distant. With 10 minutes, walk outside if possible, practice a brief meditation, or engage in a genuine social conversation. With 20 minutes available, take a longer nature walk, change your physical environment completely, or practice restorative rest with deliberate mental imagery. Active recovery deserves its own emphasis because it is fundamentally different from passive rest. Active recovery means doing activities that restore your energy while simultaneously building your capacity for future performance. Light physical activity is among the most powerful forms of cognitive recovery. A 10-minute walk can improve mental performance for hours afterward. It does not need to be intense. A casual stroll functions better than a hard workout for cognitive recovery precisely because it increases cerebral blood flow, releases mood-improving neurochemicals, and grants your mind permission to wander, activating that default mode network that does its best work when conscious attention is relaxed. High-performing professionals are discovering that moderate physical exercise, even brief lunch break sessions, leads to significant improvements in both mental health and the quality of their professional relationships. Digital recovery is equally important and frequently overlooked. Your brain is continuously processing information from screens. Even when you are not actively reading, your brain is scanning, filtering, and responding to digital input. This creates a subtle but persistent mental load that accumulates throughout the day whether you notice it or not. Effective digital detoxing does not require hours offline. It means strategic breaks from information input. 5 minutes of looking away from all screens and focusing on physical objects in your environment can meaningfully restore cognitive resources. The analog break, where you do something with your hands that involves no technology at all, whether folding clothes, organizing a drawer, or sketching on paper, gives your brain a pause from digital processing while keeping your body gently engaged. Research shows that even brief periods away from screens can restore cognitive resources and reduce mental fatigue significantly. Some professionals are extending this into longer structured breaks that incorporate deliberate breathing exercises and guided relaxation with mental imagery, using these techniques to induce rapid recovery and facilitate psychological detachment from work demands. The most common mistake people make with recovery is treating it as optional. They plan to take breaks when they have time, which functionally means they never take breaks. High performers reverse this entirely. They schedule recovery first and then build their work around those protected intervals. Begin by identifying your natural energy patterns. Most people have predictable dips in focus and energy at predictable times. These dips are not weaknesses to push through. They are natural recovery windows built into your biology. Use them for restoration rather than fighting them with caffeine and willpower. Many top-knowledge workers follow the 90-minute rule, alternating 90 minutes of focused work with 15-minute restorative breaks. This approach aligns with the ultradian rhythms that govern your brain's natural performance cycles and prevents the accumulation of mental fatigue that degrades output quality over a full workday. Block your recovery time in your calendar exactly as you would block an important meeting. A 10-minute walk at 2:30 in the afternoon is not a luxury. It is a professional investment that ensures you perform at a high level for the rest of that afternoon, instead of grinding through degraded cognitive function. Strategic time blocking means scheduling your most intensive work during peak energy periods and lighter tasks during the periods following your recovery breaks, ensuring that the most demanding cognitive work always gets your sharpest attention. When you look back at the calendar structure of your most productive weeks, you will almost always find that they were not the weeks you worked the longest. They were the weeks you protected your recovery with the same discipline you brought to your work itself. Recovery is not time away from productivity. It is what makes real productivity possible. When you begin treating recovery as a performance tool rather than a concession to weakness, the change is noticeable to everyone around you. Your energy stabilizes. Your focus sharpens. Your creative insights multiply. Your best work stops feeling like an uphill struggle and starts emerging naturally from a well-rested, well-supplied mind. Chapter 3: Building Unbreakable Attention. Most people believe they are excellent multitaskers until they actually measure their performance. The research paints a clear and humbling picture. It takes approximately 23 minutes to regain full concentration after an interruption. Every time you switch between tasks, answer an unscheduled message, or check your phone during focused work, you are not saving time. You are borrowing against your cognitive reserves with a steep interest rate. All that task switching was never making you more productive. It was slowly, invisibly, and continuously stealing your mental clarity. If you are like most high performers, you have been taught that busyness equals productivity. Real focus is something different. It is the cultivated ability to give your full attention to one thing at a time, and when you train this capacity deliberately, even your most challenging work becomes clearer, faster, and more rewarding. Your brain's attention system operates like any other trainable faculty. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. The encouraging news is that you do not need hours of meditation practice or expensive programs to see meaningful results. Simple daily exercises applied consistently can build a quality of focus that transforms how you work. Think of every 5-minute focused practice session as a small investment in a compound account. The returns are invisible at first, but after 30 days of consistent deposits, the balance is undeniable. Your attention actually operates through 3 distinct modes, and understanding these helps you train more effectively. Focused attention is what you use when concentrating on a single specific task. It functions like a spotlight that illuminates your work while keeping everything else in the background. This mode requires the most mental energy, but produces the highest quality work when sustained properly. Divided attention is what happens when you attempt to handle multiple tasks at once. Despite what we tell ourselves, the brain does not actually multitask. It rapidly switches between tasks instead, and each switch costs cognitive resources while reducing overall efficiency. Sustained attention is your ability to maintain focus over extended periods. This is the capacity that separates people who can work deeply for hours from those who become mentally tired after just a few minutes. Most people struggle with focus not because of some inherent deficit, but because they have unknowingly trained their brains for distraction. Every time you check your phone during important work, you teach your attention system that the current task is not worth full engagement. Over months and years, this creates deeply grooved patterns that make sustained concentration feel almost impossible. The modern workplace compounds this problem relentlessly, with constant notifications, open-plan office layouts, and organizational cultures that reward immediate response to every incoming message, effectively structuring the environment as a focus destruction machine. Before you can improve your focus, you need to understand what specifically breaks it. Common triggers include phone notifications, email alerts, background noise, and internal thoughts about other tasks. Some people are particularly sensitive to movement in their peripheral visual field, while others lose focus primarily when physical discomfort arises from hunger or fatigue. Begin noticing when your attention drifts. Is it after you have been working for a specific amount of time? Does it happen when certain applications send notifications? Understanding your own distraction patterns is the necessary first step toward changing them. Building stronger focus happens through consistent daily practice with specific exercises combined with strategic environment design. Start simply. Each morning, choose a focused task: reading a single article, writing a short email, reviewing one document. Set a timer for 5 minutes and do only that task. When your mind wants to drift toward other concerns, gently redirect it back. Do not fight the distracting thoughts or criticize yourself for having them. Simply notice them and return. This is precisely the skill you are building. After a week of 5-minute sessions, extend to 10 minutes, then 15. Most people discover they can sustain 30 minutes of genuine, undivided focus within a month of daily practice. Once comfortable with basic focus training, introduce more advanced challenges. Choose a complex task requiring deep thinking, such as writing a report or analyzing data. Before starting, write down 3 specific outcomes you want to achieve. This gives your attention system clear targets rather than leaving it to navigate ambiguity. Work for 25 minutes without checking anything external. When you feel the urge to look at your phone or open another browser tab, write down that urge on a notepad instead of acting on it. This technique builds awareness of your distraction patterns while simultaneously maintaining your primary focus. It externalizes the impulse rather than suppressing it, which is far more sustainable as a practice. Attention switching practice provides a complementary training method. Choose two different types of work, such as writing and numerical analysis. Spend 15 minutes on the first task with full focus, then deliberately switch to the second for another 15 minutes. This trains your brain to establish concentration quickly rather than requiring several minutes of settling in time each time you shift your attention. Some professionals are also incorporating cognitive training tools such as memory games, structured puzzles, and brain training applications that challenge working memory and processing speed. While research on transfer effects from these tools remains mixed, many professionals report meaningful improvements in real-world concentration when these exercises are practiced progressively with gradually increasing difficulty. Your daily focus practice should include morning single-task sessions of 5 to 30 minutes, phone-free work blocks during your peak energy hours, deliberate attention return training whenever you notice your mind wandering, and structured task switching practice between different types of work. Add end-of-day reflection on when focus was strongest and weakest. Single tasking during routine activities like eating or walking, and regular cognitive challenges that push your concentration to its current edge. Your physical and digital environment exerts enormous influence on your ability to focus, and small, deliberate changes can eliminate most attention breaks before they even occur. The most effective digital strategy is using website and application blockers during your focused work periods. Tools such as Rescue Time, Self-Control, LeechBlock NG, and AppBlock can prevent access to distracting sites during your designated concentration hours. The key is customizing these tools to match your specific distraction patterns rather than using default settings that may not address your actual vulnerabilities. Turn off all non-essential notifications during work blocks. This means email alerts, social media pings, and news updates. Many people resist this because they fear missing something important. In practice, very few things in professional life require genuinely immediate attention. You can check messages during planned recovery breaks without any meaningful loss of responsiveness, and the cognitive benefits of uninterrupted work windows vastly outweigh the marginal cost of a delayed reply. Set up your computer desktop to actively support focus. Close all applications you are not currently using. Keep only the tools required for your current task visible on screen. Having multiple browser tabs open creates visual distraction even when you are not looking at them, because a portion of your attentional resources is perpetually monitoring that peripheral visual clutter. Modern professionals are finding notable success with time tracking and monitoring tools, such as What Pulse Professional and similar applications that provide data-driven insights into distraction patterns. These tools reveal exactly when and how your attention is redirected, allowing you to make informed adjustments to both your habits and your environment. Many knowledge workers report that seeing their actual usage patterns represented as objective data creates a quality of motivation for change that self-observation alone cannot generate. Your physical workspace should make focus feel natural and distraction difficult. If possible, position yourself facing away from high-traffic areas. Movement in your peripheral vision reliably pulls attention away from the task in front of you, and this happens unconsciously, outside your voluntary control. Keep your phone in another room or in a closed drawer where you cannot see it. Research consistently shows that having a phone visible, even when it is silent and face down, measurably reduces cognitive performance because a portion of your mental resources is continuously monitoring it for activity. Control your audio environment with the same intentionality. Some people focus best in complete silence, while others need background sound. Experiment to find what genuinely works for you rather than assuming you belong to either camp. Avoid music with lyrics during tasks that involve reading or writing, as language processing from lyrics competes directly with the language centers your work requires. Use physical cues to signal focus time to yourself and to others around you. This might mean closing your office door, putting on a specific pair of headphones, or placing a visible indicator that you are in deep work mode. Building focus is training for a performance sport. You would not expect to run a marathon after 1 week of casual jogging. Your attention system requires consistent, progressive training over time to develop genuine strength. Start with one focus exercise and one environmental change. Practice them consistently for a week before adding anything else. This approach builds habits that last rather than creating temporary enthusiasm that fades within a fortnight. Most people notice measurable improvement in concentration within the first few days of practice. After a full month of consistency, deep focus begins to feel natural rather than forced. Your brain will start to seek these periods of clear, undistracted thinking. The goal is not perfect focus, because perfect focus is a myth. The goal is trained focus, the cultivated skill to concentrate when it matters most and to recover your attention quickly when it inevitably drifts. This is what separates high performers from people who stay perpetually busy while struggling to accomplish their most important work. To create your Ironmind is to build exactly this kind of disciplined, practiced, deliberate control over the most powerful resource you possess. It is not about eliminating distraction from the world around you. It is about building the inner architecture to rise above it, consistently and on demand. Chapter 4: Engineering Your Flow State. What if your most challenging work could feel as effortless as having a conversation with a close friend? That is not wishful thinking. It is the documented reality of flow state, a mental zone where difficulty dissolves and peak performance becomes not just possible but natural. Most people stumble into flow by accident. They remember that rare, perfect day when hours flew past, creativity surged, and everything clicked into place. Then they spend months trying to recreate that experience while wondering if it was simply luck. It was not luck. It was the accidental alignment of specific, reproducible conditions. And once you understand those conditions, you can engineer them deliberately. Flow is not magic. It is science. The best performers across every demanding field, from surgeons to software engineers to chief executives, do not wait for flow to arrive. They create the conditions that make it inevitable. They have understood that flow is not a rare gift distributed unevenly by fortune. It is a learnable skill that improves with deliberate practice. Flow feels fundamentally different from ordinary focus. When you are simply focused, you are working effortfully to stay on task. Your inner voice narrates doubts, deadlines, and distractions. You feel the exertion. Flow is the opposite experience. Effort disappears. Your internal critic goes quiet. Time distorts in ways that feel remarkable in retrospect. You are not fighting to concentrate. You are pulled into the work the way a river current carries you without requiring you to swim. Scientists can measure flow in the brain. During flow states, certain neural networks quiet down while others activate with unusual clarity. The result is exceptionally precise thinking without the interference that normally accompanies it. Research from Monotask indicates that people in genuine flow states can be 40% more productive than during their normal working mode. Flow differs from intense focus in 3 specific measurable ways. First, challenge and skill are in perfect balance. The work pushes you forward but does not overwhelm you. Second, you have clear goals for each moment, knowing exactly what success looks like right now, not in some abstract future. Third, you receive immediate feedback. You can tell in real time whether you are on the right track. This balance creates something extraordinary. Your brain stops second-guessing and starts performing. Fear of failure recedes because you are completely absorbed in the process, entirely unconcerned with outcomes. When these 3 elements align, your brain shifts into its highest operational gear. Too much challenge creates anxiety that blocks flow. Too little creates boredom that prevents it. Unclear goals generate confusion. Absent feedback generates doubt. But when everything aligns correctly, the result is both rare and distinctly recognizable. Flow responds to specific triggers you can learn to activate. Think of these triggers as reliable switches you can press to launch yourself into peak performance. Environmental triggers are among the easiest to control because your physical space continuously sends signals to your brain about what kind of cognitive work to expect. A cluttered desk scattered with unrelated materials signals disorder. Your brain responds with scattered attention. A clean workspace containing only the tools required for the current task signals focused work. Your brain responds accordingly. Start with lighting. Harsh overhead fluorescent light creates subtle but persistent tension that interferes with sustained concentration. Soft, warm light promotes the calm focus that precedes flow. If possible, face a window. Natural light helps regulate your brain's alertness cycles throughout the day in ways that artificial light simply cannot replicate. Sound environment is equally important. Some people access flow best in complete silence, while others find that specific types of background sound help them maintain the right level of arousal. Many professionals use the same playlist every time they want to enter flow, not because the music itself induces flow, but because it has become a conditioned trigger through consistent association. The playlist tells the brain it is time to perform. Remove visual distractions from your immediate field of vision. Place your phone face down or in another room. Close all browser tabs unrelated to your current task. In 2024 and 2025, professionals are increasingly using noise-canceling headphones and creating dedicated quiet workspaces while adopting flexible work arrangements that allow them to work during their individual peak productivity windows. Your mind also needs a bridge between the scattered concerns of daily life and the concentrated state required for flow. Create a brief ritual that signals this transition. It might be 3 slow, deep breaths, a quick review of your session goals, or organizing your workspace in a specific sequence. The ritual itself matters less than its consistency. Your brain learns to associate these specific actions with peak performance. Over time, simply beginning your ritual initiates the flow process before the work has technically started. Recent studies indicate that daily mindfulness practices, even 10-minute meditation sessions, can lead to a 40% increase in flow state frequency over a 3-month period of consistent practice. The most important flow trigger, however, is the challenge to skill ratio. This is the element that requires the most ongoing attention and calibration. If your current work feels too easy, add complexity by setting tighter deadlines, increasing your quality standards, or taking on projects that stretch slightly beyond your current comfort zone. If the work feels overwhelming, break it into smaller elements and focus on mastering one component at a time. This calibration approach aligns with how the most effective creative and analytical professionals structure their work, using time blocking and clear goal setting to maintain the delicate balance between being challenged enough to engage fully and having sufficient skill to avoid feeling paralyzed. Pay close attention to your energy levels throughout the day. Most people have 2 or 3 windows when they naturally feel more capable, more clear, and more willing to push into difficulty. These are your prime flow windows. Schedule your most complex and demanding work during these periods. Protect them from meetings, administrative tasks, and the routine items that can safely be handled during lower energy hours. Matching your hardest work to your sharpest mental state is one of the most straightforward and consistently underused performance advantages available to any professional. Getting into flow is only the beginning. The real skill is staying there and returning quickly when interruptions break the state. Flow is fragile. A single phone call can shatter hours of accumulated momentum. But you can build resilience into your flow experiences by planning for interruptions in advance rather than pretending they will not happen. When something breaks your flow, avoid the temptation to panic or catastrophize. You have not lost everything. Take a moment to capture where you were. Write one sentence describing your current progress and your immediate next step. This creates a re-entry bridge back to your flow state. Handle the interruption as efficiently as possible without being dismissive. If the matter is genuinely urgent, address it. If it is not, defer it politely and briefly. The faster you return to your work, the easier it is to rebuild momentum. Before diving back in, spend 30 seconds reviewing the sentence you wrote. Remind yourself of your specific goals for this session. Take 3 slow breaths, then resume exactly where you left off without starting over or reorganizing. Continue the thread that was flowing. Like physical endurance, flow endurance improves with sustained practice. Most beginners can maintain flow for 20 to 30 minutes. With consistent practice, many professionals sustain it for 2 to 3 hours. Leadership professionals often achieve this by delegating routine decisions and protecting concentrated time for the high-stakes work that benefits most from flow. Creative professionals achieve it through deliberate time blocking during their peak creative hours. When you notice your attention beginning to drift during a flow session, pause for 2 or 3 minutes to stretch, breathe deeply, or look out a window. These tiny, targeted breaks refresh your mental energy without breaking your flow momentum entirely. This mirrors the flow time method used by analytical professionals, which uses focused intervals separated by short rests to prevent fatigue accumulation. End your flow sessions while you still have energy and enthusiasm for the work. Stop at a point where you know precisely what comes next. This might seem counterintuitive because you may feel like stopping when you still have momentum is leaving value on the table. In fact, it is the opposite. Ending at a point of clarity makes it dramatically easier to restart flow in your next session, because you have given your brain a clear and compelling re-entry point rather than a frustrating blank page. Advanced practitioners learn to chain multiple flow sessions together, working intensely for 90 minutes, taking a genuine 15-minute recovery break, then returning for another 90-minute session. The break refreshes the system without losing the day's accumulated momentum. Flow is not exclusively a work phenomenon. The same principles apply to any challenging activity in which you want to perform at your best. Exercise, creative hobbies, learning new skills, even demanding conversations all become more effective and more enjoyable when you apply flow principles deliberately. Research shows that engaging in outdoor activities like hiking or cycling significantly boosts flow experiences, with higher connection to natural environments directly increasing both the likelihood and intensity of flow while promoting general well-being. The more you practice entering flow across different areas of life, the more accessible it becomes during professional work. Your brain learns the flow signature and retrieves it faster whenever peak performance is needed. Some people worry that this level of focused intensity will eventually burn them out. The evidence points in the opposite direction. Flow is energizing rather than draining. You typically finish genuine flow sessions feeling accomplished and refreshed rather than depleted. This is because flow aligns perfectly with how your brain naturally prefers to work when it is not burdened by distraction and ambiguity. Start small. Choose one task each day where you will apply flow principles. A 20-minute writing session, a focused problem-solving block, a creative project you have been circling. Prioritize quality over quantity. One genuine flow experience teaches you more about your own performance than hours of forced, fragmented concentration. Track your flow experiences for 2 weeks. Note when they occur, how long they last, and what triggered them. Identify patterns you can repeat and obstacles you can systematically remove. Every person's flow profile is slightly different. Some require complete quiet, while others reach flow more easily with background noise. Some access flow most naturally in morning hours, while others hit their peak in late afternoon. Organizations that support flow-enabling strategies have reported measurable gains across multiple dimensions. Higher job satisfaction, improved employee retention, and increases of up to 40% in the frequency of flow experiences among their people. The goal is not to be in flow continuously. That is both impossible and unnecessary. The goal is to reliably access flow when your work genuinely demands peak performance, when you need to solve complex problems, create something of real quality, or push through the most demanding projects on your agenda. These are the moments when flow transforms competent work into exceptional work. With practice, what once felt like your most challenging work truly can feel as natural as conversation. The effort does not vanish. It simply stops feeling like effort, and that is precisely when your best work begins. Chapter 5: Your 30-Day Blueprint for a High-Performance Mind. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to optimize your cognitive performance. Most people read material like this and genuinely intend to start next week, when life is somehow less chaotic, when the calendar clears, when conditions improve. The truth cuts deeper than ordinary procrastination. If you do not act on what you have learned, nothing changes. The conditions you are waiting for never fully arrive. The difference between people who actually improve their cognitive performance and those who remain perpetually stuck comes down entirely to having a clear implementation plan and following through with consistent action. You now understand the science behind brain efficiency and the 5 pillars that support peak mental performance: nutrition, hydration, sleep, strategic recovery, focused attention, and flow. Knowledge without implementation is entertainment. The person who consistently practices one brain-enhancing technique will substantially outperform someone who knows 10 techniques but applies none of them. Your brain transforms through deliberate practice, not through reading or listening alone. The next 30 days will genuinely reshape how your brain operates, but success requires a strategic approach. Attempting to change everything simultaneously leads to predictable failure. Instead, this blueprint builds your new cognitive habits systematically, with each week constructing on the foundation of the previous one. Begin by identifying your most significant mental performance challenge right now. Do you experience afternoon energy crashes that routinely derail your productivity? Can you barely maintain focus for 20 minutes before your attention splinters? Do you wake up feeling mentally foggy despite adequate hours of sleep? These symptoms reveal which pillar requires your most urgent attention. Start there, because poor sleep undermines every other cognitive enhancement technique you might attempt. If sleep quality is adequate but concentration remains elusive, attention training becomes your primary focus. When attention feels solid but mental fatigue dominates your days, recovery techniques offer the highest return on your invested effort. Your implementation strategy must also align with your realistic schedule and actual life demands. A senior executive managing multiple teams needs different approaches than someone with flexible work arrangements. A parent balancing career and family requires micro-techniques that integrate seamlessly into existing routines rather than adding overwhelming new commitments to an already stretched life. Your plan should work with your reality, not against it. This is not a program designed for people with unlimited time and perfect conditions. It is designed for people whose lives are already full and who need improvements that actually fit. Establish simple accountability systems from the very beginning, because motivation alone is an unreliable fuel source. Share your 30-day commitment with someone who will actually check on your progress. Schedule your new habits directly into your calendar as non-negotiable appointments. Set phone reminders for the first 2 weeks until the behaviors begin generating their own momentum. Track 1 or 2 key metrics that clearly show improvement, such as energy level on a consistent scale or measurable focus duration. Having objective data transforms abstract intentions into concrete feedback that sustains effort over time. The most common implementation failure involves attempting too many changes simultaneously. Select 2 or 3 techniques from this session that directly address your biggest challenges, and master these practices fully before adding complexity. Consistent execution of a few powerful techniques produces far better results than scattered attempts at comprehensive overnight transformation. During your first 2 weeks, concentrate on creating the optimal conditions for enhanced brain performance. These foundational changes support everything you will build later. Focus on establishing a consistent morning routine, improving your sleep environment, and developing basic nutrition habits that fuel cognitive function through the day. Morning routines establish your brain's operational tone for everything that follows. Select one simple morning practice and execute it every day for 14 consecutive days without exception. This might be 5 minutes of controlled breathing, a brief outdoor walk for natural light exposure, or a protein-rich breakfast that stabilizes your blood sugar from the first hour of the day. Consistency matters infinitely more than complexity in habit formation. Choose something sustainable rather than something ambitious. Sleep environment improvements often produce noticeable results within the first week of implementation. Remove all screens from your bedroom. Make the room significantly darker using blackout curtains or an eye mask. Lower the temperature to between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Establish a consistent bedtime and wake time, holding to this schedule even on weekends to regulate your circadian rhythm. These environmental modifications require minimal financial investment, but can dramatically improve your mental clarity and cognitive resilience starting almost immediately. Basic nutrition adjustments also demonstrate quick improvements. Increase your daily water intake to support proper hydration, which directly impacts your ability to think. Add one brain-healthy food to each meal: blueberries, fatty fish, nuts, or leafy greens. Gradually reduce refined sugar and heavily processed foods that create the energy spikes and cognitive crashes that derail afternoon performance. Your brain will respond with improved energy stability and noticeably enhanced focus capacity within 7 to 10 days of consistent nutritional improvement. During weeks 3 and 4, introduce more advanced techniques while reinforcing the foundation habits you have established. By this point, your basic routines should feel largely automatic, freeing up mental energy for the skill-building activities that demand greater attention and deliberate practice. Add strategic breaks throughout your workday using the 90-minute work cycle approach followed by 15-minute recovery periods. During these breaks, employ micro-recovery techniques, deep breathing, brief meditation, or gentle movement to genuinely reset your nervous system rather than simply stopping and immediately checking your phone. Practice focused training exercises for 10 to 15 minutes daily, progressively building your attention span and concentration endurance. Track your natural energy and focus patterns throughout each day, noting when you feel mentally sharp versus when cognitive fatigue accumulates. Use this data to schedule your most demanding work during peak performance hours and protect those hours with the same intensity you would bring to your most critical client meeting. Experiment with flow state triggers during the final 2 weeks of the program. Set up your environment deliberately to support extended periods of deep work. Practice calibrating challenge levels to your current skill level across different projects. Develop and test pre-work rituals to discover what best prepares your specific brain for sustained high-performance sessions. Each day follows a simple 3-part framework that integrates brain efficiency into your existing rhythms without requiring additional time. This approach optimizes the hours you already have rather than attempting to extend your day. Morning brain activation begins each day with one activity that genuinely awakens your cognitive systems. This 5 to 10 minute practice might include light physical movement, controlled breathing, reviewing and briefly visualizing your daily priorities, or consuming a protein-rich breakfast. The critical element is absolute consistency, performing the same energizing practice every morning until it operates as automatically as brushing your teeth. Your morning activation should feel genuinely energizing rather than stressful. If running feels torturous, choose walking or stretching. If traditional meditation seems impossible, experiment with simple breathing techniques. The most effective morning routine is the one you actually maintain every single day. Workday optimization applies brain efficiency principles during your professional hours through strategic break timing, single tasking rather than multitasking, scheduling cognitively demanding work during peak energy hours, and maintaining a distraction-free environment for your most important tasks. Protect your deep work time with the same seriousness you would bring to a meeting with your most important professional relationship. Block it on your calendar, disable notifications, and communicate your unavailability. Your peak cognitive hours are your most valuable professional resource. Evening recovery and preparation concludes each day with activities that facilitate brain restoration and prepare your system for the following day. This includes reviewing what went well to reinforce effective patterns, planning tomorrow's priorities to reduce morning decision fatigue, engaging in light stretching or gentle movement to release physical tension accumulated through the day, and reading something genuinely enjoyable to promote mental relaxation before sleep. Avoid all screens for at least 1 hour before bed to support natural melatonin production. Maintain a brief daily log of your energy levels, focus quality, and overall cognitive state. This tracking requires less than 2 minutes but provides invaluable data about which strategies are actually producing results for you specifically. The genuine test of your brain efficiency system begins after day 30, when the initial motivation of novelty naturally diminishes. This is where many people abandon their progress, mistaking the fading of novelty for the absence of benefit. Do not make this error. Schedule monthly 30-minute reviews to assess which techniques are consistently delivering results and which elements need modification. Life circumstances change, stress levels fluctuate, and work demands shift constantly. Your brain optimization approach must evolve with these changes rather than remaining fixed to initial parameters that no longer fit your reality. Build progressive challenges into your established routine to continue advancing your capabilities. Once basic focus training feels natural, introduce more sophisticated attention exercises. When 90-minute work blocks become comfortable, experiment with longer deep work sessions or more cognitively complex tasks. Your brain strengthens through appropriate, progressive challenge rather than through indefinite repetition of the same comfortable activities. Data from cognitive performance studies consistently shows that people who monitor their mental performance with objective feedback systems are significantly more likely to maintain long-term improvements than those who rely on subjective impression alone. Advanced practice transforms you into your own cognitive performance researcher, someone who understands your brain's patterns well enough to design targeted interventions for specific situations. You will recognize which techniques work best for different types of cognitive work, and can adapt quickly when circumstances change. This expertise allows you to maintain high performance across varying demands and conditions. Over time, the individual strategies you have learned in this session stop being separate techniques and begin merging into a coherent, self-reinforcing system. Better sleep improves your capacity for focused attention. Stronger attention makes flow more accessible. Regular recovery keeps your mood and creativity high, which makes it easier to maintain the nutritional habits that power the whole cycle. This is how the high-performance mind is built, not through a single dramatic intervention, but through the slow, compounding integration of practices that work together. Your monthly review process should examine which techniques consistently provided benefits, which practices never became sustainable habits, what new challenges have emerged, and how your overall energy and focus patterns have evolved. Use these insights to adjust your approach continuously. If morning meditation never became consistent, try evening breathing practices instead. If 90-minute work blocks proved unrealistic in your schedule, test 45-minute focused sessions that better match your natural rhythms and professional structure. The brain efficiency journey extends far beyond 30 days, becoming a permanent enhancement to how you approach work, learning, and the daily demands of a high-performance life. The habits you establish during this program will compound over months and years, creating long-term cognitive advantages in everything you pursue. Small daily improvements in mental performance generate exponential returns through sustained practice and continuous refinement. The difference between where you are now and where a consistently practiced, well-fueled, well-rested, and strategically trained mind can take you is not measured in weeks. It is measured in the quality and impact of everything you build from here forward. Start immediately. Select your first technique and schedule it into your calendar today. Your future self will be grateful that you chose decisive action now rather than waiting for an imaginary perfect moment that never arrives. This is the high-performance mind, and it is yours to build. This has been a Brainpower audiobook session. Thank you for listening.
Want the written version? Grab the PDF for half a cup of coffee, $2. Link is in the description and the comments.